Hey guys, welcome to Heal, Laugh, and Rise Up podcast. Today we're recording. We have a special guest. So I'm Amber.
I'm Jessie.
And we have Miss Julie Miller here. We're so honored to have you.
I work as a functional nutritionist. So my actual title is Applied Clinical Nutritionist. That's what my license says. And I work functionally. I have a whole food philosophy. So I do believe in whole food and whole herbs rather than extractions, because I think we need the synergy of everything that comes together from nature in order to heal. I just look at the body functionally and see what's working, what's not working, and realize that these things work in systems. And so trying to get the body to come back to its balance and get whatever system is struggling healed and back to functionality.
Wow.
I think I
need that.
Right? I wish it was something that more people had better access to, or I guess was really pushed better for society. So I think you have a lot of good knowledge.
Thank you. It's one of those fields where you have everything from this side to this side and all the extremes in between. And so when somebody says functional doctor, what does that really mean? Or functional nutritionist? We're supposed to look at the body functionally and see what's not working and restore it. But there's everything from using drugs or pseudo drugs, extractions, pieces of vitamins. And so it's just my philosophy is a little bit different. And so I do embrace the whole food philosophy and the whole herb philosophy, ask a lot of questions of my patients, because the fun part for me is playing detective and trying to figure out why things are going awry and why this happened and shore it up from the inside out so that we don't have a repeat. And
you're like the house of functionalist medicine. I reached out to you because of the recent fires we've had here in LA, and we haven't put out any recordings. So this will be the first for the year. And it's because I was displaced and just completely overwhelmed. And I think a lot of people are feeling that. I didn't lose my home. I'm very thankful, but I'm still feeling it and the stress of it. And I just think that on a almost therapeutic level, I feel like you of all people would have a lot of good knowledge of what we can be adding to our lifestyle right now to try and get through some of this like nerves, but also protecting ourselves and our immune system. I'm just hearing so much of the whole fear-mongering posts and reels on social media on what we need to be worried about. And then also listening to the Nixle and Genesis alerts that I'm getting because of where I live, where my workplace is. I'm having a lot of the officials tell me to wear an N95 mask, to go home, not to go home. We had door-to-door sheriffs coming around doing shelter in place these last 2 days. There's a lot of fear. And I don't think that's helping my adrenals. So and more people I talk to, I'm hearing a lot of, Jessie, you've even said, this didn't affect your home in a sense where you weren't evacuated or you didn't lose your home. You didn't have all the ash and stuff you have to clean up, but you still feel like there's something affecting you.
Chaos, mental chaos that I think it affects my body, my immune system, my everything. And as a cancer survivor and going through cancer treatment now, I feel I've talked about this on the podcast. I had cancer twice. And if anybody should change their lifestyle, it should be me. Why is it so hard? Because I'm 47 years old and I'm conditioned. And I've learned a lot from Amber, just small little things I can start looking at the packages, because it is very difficult to go from someone like me and connect with someone like you and make a lifestyle change. So I think this is great that you come on our podcast to educate some of us who are not aware that these services or people that like you are out there. We just know bad, and doctor. That's all we know. And that's the reality, especially in our Hispanic community. So I'm
everybody's affected by this. And especially those of us that have lived in this community for so long, we've lived through lots of forest fires. That is not an uncommon thing in this area. But I have never lived through one where there was so much damage to buildings and homes. The difference between a forest fire and this latest fire is, firstly, I don't know anybody in this area that doesn't know somebody who was affected.
Right.
And so I have friends that have lost everything. And so it makes us take stock of what we do have and really appreciate all of the things that we've been griping and complaining about. But the fire itself is different because in structural fires, you have electricity that burns, you have plastics that burn, you have rubber that burns, you have all of these toxic materials. And so the air quality bad in a forest fire, but this puts a lot more chemicals into our atmosphere, into our water table. So we have to be a little more careful. A lot of people are struggling with lung capacity and breathing issues. There are several herbs that can really help. And I always say with herbs, it's best to check with somebody who knows about herbs and knows what you're doing with those, because they do interact with different medications that people are taking, and you have to titrate it down for somebody's body weight, especially if you're dealing with children. There are herbs like pleurisy root and mullein and marshmallow root and things that can actually help to strengthen the lungs, strengthen that lung capacity. There are things like zeolite, which is pretty safe for most people to use. Zeolite is a way to detox some of those toxins that have that have made their way into your system, so that we can detox those out. It's something that babies can use safely. It's something that adults can use, and everybody in between. Those kinds of things can really help. Some practical things that help open up the bronchial tubes and the bronchia so it makes it easier to breathe is something as simple as getting some coconut oil and some essential oils. Eucalyptus and camphor, peppermint are some of the more common for the lungs. And you want to put it on the chest and the back. The lungs go all the way through this chest cavity. And so that helps to keep those bronchial passages open and make breathing a little bit easier, particularly when there's this mucus congestion. And that's the body's way of combating toxins and things that we breathe in, is to create a little mucus. So that can help, and that's safe for everybody to do.
So with the coconut oil, you're making like a homemade Vicks. Are we shoving it in our nose and on our feet too?
The reason I like coconut oil is the coconut oil isn't a petroleum-based product, so it actually penetrates deeper into the layers of the dermis. So it drives those essential oils a little deeper. Vicks stays on the surface a little bit more because petroleum is more of a barrier creating medium than the coconut oil. And if you just use essential oils on their own, they're usually done with an alcohol extraction. And so if you put it on your skin without an oil to help penetrate, it just dissipates and it dries up. And so I want to drive it deeper to get a better reaction for that.
And when it comes to essential oils, can it just be the doTERRA that all the nurses have gifted me? Or is there brands I should stay away from?
Essential oils, as long as it's a brand that you can easily find. Organics are good. Star West Botanical makes some good ones. There's a brand called Revive. doTERRA and Young Living are definitely fine brands. They're just a little more expensive than some of the others. So as long as you can smell it, that it's got strength.
Yeah. And it's organic and it's not infused with anything else.
Yes.
Not from the swamp.
The homemade ones are a little iffy. Some people are really good at it, but
my grandma's got some good
I
ones.
know your grandma, yes.
So if somebody's really good at it and you personally know them, those are fine too.
Okay, cool.
So those kinds of things, using diffusers. And
Mm.
when I use a diffuser, those are some good oils, and you can always mix them as well.
Yeah.
But you can put things in that are a little bit more immune boosting or cleansing to the home, and that would be adding something like thyme or rosemary or clove. Those are very purifying. They help with immune boosting. They're antiviral, so those can be helpful to add in a diffuser as well.
Okay, and with diffuser, you mean the kind that kind of spray stuff or like the little sticks?
The kind that uses
Okay.
water and puts it into the air, because it gets into the air of the rooms and makes it a little easier to breathe.
Get it out there. Okay.
Distributed. Yeah, so those are things that everybody can do just to help, and especially herbs that help strengthen the lungs. Like I said, those ginger is something that everybody can use, and you don't really need to see a practitioner. Basil is something everybody can use, and so there's holy basil tea, or you can make teas out of basil and ginger. Peppermint is very good for that as well. So teas are another way to get the things that you need into your system without having any problems. There's also breathing exercises.
Yes,
that's what we need.
I was about to say breathing always helps.
It
Just to breathe.
a lot of things. For breathing, there's a couple of things for strengthening. One of them is diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing from the diaphragm. With any deep breathing, I always start with the out breath. And you want to pull that diaphragm in and up, because then you can take a nice deep in breath, especially when we're stressed. Most of us are breathing fast and shallow. And so if I say, start on the in breath and try and take a deep breath in, it looks something like, and that's as far as anybody can go, because they haven't expelled all that stale air.
Yeah,
so
get it all out.
Pulling that diaphragm in and up and expressing all that stale air, especially from the lower lungs, because they don't get used as much. So you want to breathe out a little bit longer than you're breathing in. So everybody has their own counts, but a count of 5 in and 10 out would be good, because you really want to express all of that stale air.
And it almost feels like you can't breathe all it out, because you're like, I have no more. And we're like, yes, you do. And the slower you do it and the more you pay attention, you can.
Yeah, and it's bringing that diaphragm in and up that kind of gets it all out of that lower lung area. So diaphragmatic breathing, really good. The other breathing that really helps with strengthening the lungs, if anybody's had any lung issues, is called pursed lips. And you're gonna, again, I always start with the out breath. So you breathe out as much as you can. And when you're breathing out, like you're going to whistle, you're going to purse your lips like you're going to whistle. And it's a very slow, again, it's twice as long to breathe out as it is to breathe in. And that strengthens lung capacity because you're slowing it coming out. And so the pursed lips, those are 2 exercises that are really good for helping with building lung capacity and strengthening the lungs.
And especially now, there's been so many people that were sick, and they still are carrying the coughing that lingers on for so long. And it's important to learn these small techniques that we can do at home to help strengthen, like you said, our lungs.
And the pursed lips is really good for people who suffer from shortness of breath. So if they go upstairs or they have an incline or doing some exercise, the pursed lips helps to combat that shortness of breath issue. And
could you use that
for anxiety?
That's something else. That's a whole other episode. We'll have you back for that episode, anxiety episode.
You can do slow breathing and taking, 5 to 7 deep breaths and counting. But with anxiety, I also do opening the chest, and you can do this for people who have just suffered from the air quality, or you can do it for anxiety.
Oh, that's
And
great.
so you want to do things like if people are used to cobra or yoga, the
Mhm.
cobra, where you're really pushing yourself up and opening
Opening
that
your
chest. Clasping your hands behind you and pulling up behind you so you can lift it up really opens and broadens the chest area, and so it increases lung capacity. And then rolling your shoulders.
Oh,
So
rolling your shoulders back.
rolling your shoulders is good for both stress and good for
Opening your,
the chest.
we gotta open our chest, girl.
We gotta stretch
I
more.
gotta sit up straight.
And work on my posture
We
over
gotta work on
here.
our posture little by little, girl. We'll get there.
So those are all good for both things. Those 3 exercises are good for both stress and for opening up the chest and just letting us breathe a little easier, because we're on our computers, we're hunched over, we're at a desk, we're texting, we're on our phones, texting, tablets, all that kind of stuff. So we need to combat that with really opening this up.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. It also helps the heart, because when you're crunched over, you're
Pushing it.
impacting your heart. And so by opening up the chest, it gives the heart some room as well.
Oh, that's all you gotta tell me. When I start slouching, I'm gonna think of my poor little heart being crushed.
So I just have a characteristic image of it. Just
Oh yeah, you're squishing me.
Yeah. And then there's relaxing herbs and teas that
Ooh,
people
yes.
can
Tell
do.
us about the relaxing, please, because we need to learn how to fall asleep fast. We say, oh, we're gonna go to bed, just like those memes online, and then you're just till 4 a.m. scrolling. You can't.
Chamomile, very
Chamomile.
relaxing. It's also good for relaxing the stomach and any digestive issues. So
Oh.
chamomile is really good and very relaxing, and it pairs well with a lot of other relaxing herbs. So you can pair it with lemon balm, very calming, very peace inducing. Lavender is a good one. Lavender and chamomile pair very well together. Nettle. Nettle is an
I don't
herb.
think I know nettle.
It's also known as stinging nettle. So nettle is detoxifying as well. So people that want to detox and calm, nettle is a super great herb for doing that. Nettle leaf is detoxifying, and there's nettle root.
Oh.
So nettle is very good. Passion flower.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that.
Is fantastic. It helps to calm the nervous system. It helps to relax. And passion flower can be in a tincture, it can be in a tea. And so passion flower is one of those things that is very, very calming to most systems. There's valerian and skullcap and holy basil. And then I get into issues where I want to make sure that I know somebody's history before we start using some of those, because there are herbal medication interactions, or I need to know about somebody's medical history, so I'm giving the right thing. But the other ones are pretty safe.
Cool.
So those are some things that are very calming. We tend to play the what if game in a very negative way. Nobody usually says, what if I win the lottery, or what if I get $100,000 gifted to me? We always think, what if the world collapses? So not playing the what if game and looking and taking stock of what we do have and the friends and family that we do have and all of the good things, focusing on the good, because what this did was, it was a calamity, but it brought communities together, and people are donating, and people want to help, and people were trying to help the firefighters that came. And so there was a lot of wonderful good things, and I just don't want to lose that momentum.
Yeah.
So if we can keep that momentum going, these people are not going to rebuild in 2 weeks. They're not going to rebuild in 2 months. It might be 2 years. And so remembering that they're still needing ongoing support, and they're still needing help, and they're still needing us to be there and let them know that there are people that care.
When someone is first diagnosed with something, or the trauma happens in someone's life, and this fire, someone's lost their home, just lost a car, something. They have so much support up front, and then it just falls off. And then what do you do? So I think that's great. I really like what you say with the what if thinking. So we always give a little homework assignment at the end of our episodes. And I think that's a really good one for this one is if you can't or you don't want to go out and get all these supplements or different essential oils and you don't feel like doing breathing techniques, something you can do without even leaving your home is just changing your mentality. And something I think someone told me once is they put it in their phone, like a reminder for 3 months from now to check in on me after Mike's accident. And I thought that was really cool because I didn't know they were setting reminders. I just thought, wow, this person keeps thinking of me while everyone else is falling off the face of the earth and just disappearing. They all come out of the woodwork and then they all just disappear. This one person didn't. And later they told me they would literally set reminders in their phone. So I think that's something else we can do is set little reminders in our phone, put it on our calendar to check in with these people that we know and make sure they're still doing okay and see what else do they need a month from now, a year from now. My boss lost her home and she got quoted 3.5 years before they'll start construction.
Wow.
So this is going to be a very long recovery road.
It's a process.
Yeah. And I think that's really important that we don't forget about them.
Absolutely. The other thing that I think helps people is remembering an event that was super special, an event that made you feel like you were on top of the world. And so using that as an anchor and knowing that if you felt that way once, you can feel that way again. So focusing on something that was so positive. Some people, it's their wedding day. Some people, it's the birth of their first child. For a friend of mine, it was when he bought his Lexus.
No, I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about my baby being born. I thought of a marathon I ran.
It can be anything.
But that was before the baby.
Where it made you feel like you were super person and you could actually accomplish and do just about anything. Because if you can hang on to that feeling, you felt that way before and know that you will feel that way again, but just recalling it can actually make you feel stronger. It can give you some strength. It can give you some support. It can give you some solace in a time where you're not feeling 100% like I'm on top.
Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely use that. I don't know about you, Jessie, but I will often think of the worst moments in my life and go, oh, I made it through that, so I'll be okay.
Yeah, because the more that we can feel good, the more that we can encourage those feelings, the more your body gets used to it. And we are so used to the negative and we're surrounded by it all the time with the news and with things that happen. And
we grew up, we talk about it in the podcast all the time. Fortunately, the way we grew up, it wasn't our parents' fault. My mom only knew fear and I was raised in fear-based. And so now it's part of our podcast is how to erase that and change it and not put the pressure on our ancestors. This is the way we are because of them. This is the way we are now because of us. But it takes practice. And
it does take practice. And so that's one of those things where I give these little assignments to people because we don't focus on this. Could you imagine a world if we taught kindergartners this? Like you can feel like you're on top of the world, but what we do is we beat it out of them. And we say, no, you have to be like this. Kids are amazing and they're fearless and they don't have all of that stuff that's been accumulated. And so if we can keep that and teach them when they're young that you can feel amazing most of the time, probably not, but most of the time, if we can teach them to anchor those feelings of feeling like amazing, this was a tremendous accomplishment. It's really important for the kids to feel that and for us to feel that. And so I think societally we focus on some of the negative and the wrong things where we should be focusing on, we have this amazing capacity that our brains are not fully utilized.
No, they're not.
And so what if we did that? And I think part of this not utilizing our brains fully is our indoctrination. being exposed to all of the negativity. And I think it keeps us from even trying. I work the opposite and I say, okay, what would it be like if we just had this amazing capacity and we felt amazing more than 50% of the time?
More. I have a quick question for you. How long have you been feeling this way? I can say for me personally, after the cancer journey, it's almost like I have a new pair of glasses, the way I feel and the way I move through life. Did something happen? Were you always this way? I'm just curious.
My husband was a very happy person. Unfortunately, a few years ago, he had a stroke that kind of changed the way that he is and presents. But he was just genuinely a happy-go-lucky, look for the silver lining kind of guy. I grew up mixed, and I did have some amazing things that I could use as anchors in my own life. And I looked for mentors who could, whether they knew they were my mentor or not. So motivational speakers that I would listen to and feel a little bit of an affinity for. I don't feel an affinity for all of them. And,
Right.
and so we're all going to attract to something a little different. So where I am today is just a compilation of all of the things that I've learned and accumulated, and we all go through adversity. And just to finish the thought, I'm just saying that to combat all the negativity, to combat all of the things that we were taught that kind of tried to keep us down, we have to work really hard to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So it takes effort, just like anything.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, I think support is a huge thing.
A positive buddy, getting somebody who is tired of looking at all of the negativity in the world. We all know that Karen or Negative Nelly that just wants to point out the doom and gloom and all of the awful things. But there's amazing things, and the world is still wonderful, and it's better than the alternative of not being here. And so we really need to embrace that philosophy instead, so that we're looking for the positive and looking for all of the wonderful things.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Something as simple as when I take my dog for a walk, I look at the clouds and I think they're never going to be this way exactly again.
It's true.
It's wow, that's pretty amazing. Or what's blooming at the moment. It's just taking your focus and putting it somewhere where it's a little more positive.
Yeah, you're not worrying. I learned some of those things too when you go for a walk, to just really be present and aware. And when I started doing that, then the worries that I would have, because they follow you. When you're taking a shower, you're thinking about whatever, the doctor's appointment you're going to have or the scan you're going to have. You're walking, so at the end of the day, that whole week, you didn't really live, is what I say. You didn't really take a shower. So now I try to catch my thoughts. And when I take a shower, I said, I'm lathering, I'm feeling the warm water, but all that takes a lot of practice. And I tell my friends, I do the shadow work and I try my hardest, and it's not easy, but I've seen how far I've come in a year.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen it because I'm almost a magnet to certain people. Like I was telling Amber, and so it happens to Amber also, is I feel like we are here for a purpose. And the purpose is really to spread love and awareness and try to help as many people as I can with just changing the word. I hope. My girlfriend said, I hope. I said, no, you will. Being connected to someone like you, it encourages me, because now I can add supplements and herbs, and the next step for me would be that.
Well, and food. I mean, food is fuel. We are what we eat. Literally, we are what we eat. What we eat makes every cell in our body.
That is my passion and what I want to do.
If somebody isn't big on fruits and vegetables, you start there and you just start adding fruits and vegetables into your diet. If somebody is big on sweets, say, okay, I can have them, but instead of having them several times a day, I can only have them a couple of times a week. And so it's not going completely without, but it is trying to feed your body, because your body only knows to use the nutrients that are on board. If the nutrients aren't there, it will function for a while. So it will rob from Peter to pay Paul. And then Peter and Paul are both broke.
Broke.
Yep.
Now what?
So things in your body start not working and not being able to function at 100%. This isn't anything new. We've always needed all of these vitamins and minerals in order to survive, but our food isn't as healthy as it used to be. So it takes a little bit more effort to get all of those nutrients on board so that our bodies can function at the highest level that they're meant to function at.
You mentioned two things earlier that I have quick questions on. Zeolite. I've heard a lot of people talk about zeolite to do like a metal cleanse, but is zeolite itself also a metal?
Zeolite it's from the earth and it binds with metals. So it's called a chelation. And so what it does is it finds the heavy metals and it binds with them and it gets them out through the urinary tract.
Okay.
So it's very safe for people that have been exposed to aluminum or exposed to mercury, whether it's through fillings or other things, cadmium, lead, any of that kind of stuff.
That's the
Zeolite
big things I'm hearing is all the lead that we're inhaling because of the old homes that have burnt and the lead paint and all this. And I've heard people say it's not something you need to worry about if it's over there and you're not in it because it's so heavy, it's not just floating in the air. But I've also heard, no, you're inhaling more lead now. So I'm like, oh, worst case scenario, let me just do a metal cleanse.
So zeolite is perfect for that.
Okay.
Zeolite binds with the metals and it gets it out. So it's not like a detox where we're trying to get it out of the tissues and then it just releases in the body and the body has to deal with it. It literally binds to it and it pulls it out. Not at all.
Okay, and then my second question, you brought up marshmallow root. I've been hearing a lot of marshmallow root in my strange crunchy groups of these women making homemade marshmallows with marshmallow root. But is it something I can just get drops of and put it in my diffuser, or should I be eating it?
So I haven't seen a recipe for turning marshmallow root into marshmallows, although marshmallow root is an herb that is usually formed into a tincture. It works in many ways. It helps with the mucosal lining, especially in the upper GI, ear, nose, throat. Marshmallow can help with digestive issues, with acid reflux, and heal the gastrointestinal tract on the upper GI that way. It helps with lungs and lung issues. Like I said, there's a lot of herbs that really help, and to know what herbs to pair with the person. Marshmallow is not going to hurt anybody. Like I said, it's a tincture. It's easy.
Does it
to
taste
find.
like marshmallow? I know that's a dumb
No.
question, but no.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
like dirt.
Yeah, it tastes like a root. I assume. I don't know.
It
I have,
doesn't
like,
taste
this-
bad.
You have it now?
Okay, you made fun of me when it came.
I did.
I got
huh?
this like beef tallow
Okay.
moisturizer, but it had marshmallow root and like hibiscus in it.
Wow.
That's the only time I've ever bought something. I said, "Oh, what does this do?" But I was putting it on my skin. Like I wasn't eating it.
Yeah, no, it's used a lot in herbal tinctures. It's very calming. The reason it would be in a skin formula is it does work topically to heal and soften. So I can see why it would
Makes
be.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's often paired with chamomile for upper GI stuff or GERD or heartburn, those kinds of things. And so it's something that is a very common herb.
Cool. And then where you're at in Arcadia, you actually sell tea, correct?
Yes. I also own a website, tranquilitytea.net, and there's some herbs on there. Nettle is on there. I have all kinds of different herbs and different herbal tea.
Do you ship?
Yes,
Can we buy it? We can. Okay.
I ship to the United States, Canada, and Mexico.
Going to tea day, girl.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait to go on
Thank
the website.
you for having
actually.
me. I'm here if you need me. I'm a good cheerleader as well. Let me know what you guys need, and I'm happy to support, share information, and be a part of the community.
Oh,
Great.
thank you
Thank
so
you so
much. We
much.
appreciate it.
We hope
And
to have you on again.
yes, and we're gonna go have a little tea right now.
Oh,
I think
heck
you
yeah.
have some.
Yeah,
some
she
tea.
sent me
I
home.
know. That's why I know you
Definitely.
have her stuff, so I
Yeah,
want
I
to go
do.
have some now.
It's all cold if you haven't noticed. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna go have some tea now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.